Welcome, champions. Here we go again. We're getting into it. And one of my favorites, challenges. I say that in the best possible way. We've gone through all of the A's and the B's, and we're into the C's. And challenge is one of the things. It's about challenging your comfort, really. And let me just tell you a quick story about one of these challenges because I think you're gonna start to see some of these challenges in good ways and then some of these in bad ways. You know how it is. It's just some things are good and some things are bad, and that's just how it is. But at the end of the day, I want you to get to where you need to be, where you need to go, what you want to do, all those kinds of things. So I say here, challenges, we all need them. I know you don't like them, but you need them. And I just want to throw in um, this quick story for you that I'm always reminded of the movie Christmas Story. All right, the movie Christmas Story. So in the movie Christmas Story, if you haven't seen it, I know it's not Christmas, or maybe it is Christmas when you're watching this, but there's all these kids, right? And they're in Hammond, Indiana, and it's funny every time I watch that film, I love it so much because I grew up not far from Hammond, Indiana, just outside of Chicago. And I had friends that lived in Hammond, and I played baseball games near Hammond. And Hammond is not really a nice place now, but maybe back then it was okay. But you've got these kids, right? And they're kids, and it's wintertime, and kids are, daring creatures. They love challenges. And this is one of the most memorable challenges that you'll probably can come to your mind in the film Christmas Story because the young boy, all the boys are together and it's a recess and they're outside in the playground and it's wintertime in Hammond and there's snow everywhere, there's ice everywhere. And if you ever have lived in snow and gone to school when it's cold, I mean, you're wearing jackets, you got gloves, it's just cold. I mean, I most of the time, even at my age, I don't even think we were allowed to go outside because it was just too cold. But for the sake of the movie, the boys got outside and boys just do what boys do. And one boy challenges another boy. And what does he challenge him to do? And let me just show you. Um, he challenges this guy to put his tongue on this cold pole, right? It was like a pole in the playground area where they were having recess, and he double dog dared him. Put your tongue on the pole, see if it sticks. Well, I mean, you've probably done it with an ice cube before. There's been times when, it kind of sticks for a second. Or maybe you've actually stuck your tongue to a pole and the challenge, right, was there. You got to think about why the challenge was. For a kid, the challenge isn't just about to do it, because obviously you don't want to have your tongue stuck to the pole, right? But the challenge is really about this, boy feeling like he's kind of a man, right? It's challenging his comfort. It's challenging maybe his own persona of who he thinks that he is, right? And so he, of course, does it. And as you know, his tongue sticks to the pole and he's stuck. And the whole class gets back into the classroom and nobody realizes that he's still out there until the teacher finally looks out to the side and sees this boy still with his tongue stuck to the pole. Now that is a story of challenge. I'd say it's a story of maybe a negative challenge of, maybe that was a little bit of an ego, challenge. But I want to I have another story for you that I do love. And if you've ever seen Monsters University, it's one of my favorite Disney movies because, and it's one of those movies that I cry almost every time. And I'll tell you why I cry, but first I want to give you the kind of this quick synopsis of Monsters University, where all these little monsters are in college per se, and they're going to scare school so that they can be the best monster that they can be, ultimately, so they can scare kids, and that helps kind of generate everything in the monsters world. Well, inside of this university, there's these things called scare games. It's very, similar to if you're on college campus and, you have these different things in fraternities and sororities. And so they have the whole thing. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's phenomenal. But one of these things they do is a scare games. And so there's a challenge, right? There's a challenge. And the two main characters, the little green guy that you can see there, that that's Mike Wazowski, and the big guy in the middle in the blue, that's Sully, and they're the two main characters, and they have to form a team, and they basically form a team out of the worst guys there because they couldn't get into some of these fraternities and they were left out, and they formed their own team. Well, that's a challenge. They did not have all of the help they needed. They had to work on being themselves as a team. They had to actually believe that they could win, right? So these challenges in this movie, they continue to come out. So there's a challenge of the scare games. And then toward the end, there's a challenge for them because they want to win. And the goal for them winning this challenge of scare games is that they get into this scare school. They get to come back in and be a part of it because they were kind of dismissed and sort of kicked out, but they're able to come back in. And this is the part where there's a challenge for them to do right or to do wrong. The comfort of them wants to cheat, but the kind of conscience side is kind of telling them not to. And there's a whole struggle in there that you can watch the movie to figure out what happens. But one of the things at the very end, I'll give you the very last challenge that I love. And so the very last challenge, Mike and Sully, they end up sort of having to go on their own way. And this is the part that gets me. This is the part that really hits home in my heart. Because I don't know about you, if you have failed, that's probably why you're here. You failed, you're frustrated, you've gotten stuck, you feel overlooked, you're undervalued. And there's a moment in time when these two guys that were seemingly kind of at this elite level were now leaving this school, and one of them stops. They're on the bus and they're about to leave, and one of them finally stops the bus and they run towards each other and they start to talk and they say, well, what if we did something different? What if instead of attending the school, we worked our way through the school? And they kind of, you kind of looking at their processing, and basically what they're saying is, well, what if we go get a job at the university and we just work there while we kind of go to school, and we see if that's a way forward. This is, they were like, this is what we want to do. This is who we are. This is all I want to do with my life. And that's exactly what they do, is they go to work in the mailroom. And my hand is up because I've worked in a mailroom. My hand is up because I've had that terrible job. I've been in that place when nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares to know who you are. And the only thing that matters is every single day doing the work that you need to do. The challenge is not in the job and doing the work, because everybody can sort mail. The challenge is ultimately within yourself, that you're saying, I'm doing this because I believe there's something greater for my life. I was in the mailroom when I was trying to get into publicity, and I was first starting out. I was an intern, and I was in the mailroom, and I was getting coffees, and nobody knew who I was. Nobody cared to know. All they wanted was get my stuff. But I tell you, that part of Monsters University hits me, and I hope it hits you as far as what challenge really means. Sometimes you got to get back into those moments when you remember what challenge was like. Remember when it was, back in college, or when you were first out of school and you were challenged. You were really going for something. You didn't want to be comfortable. You were probably broke and you didn't have any accolades, right? You just had to do anything you could to find some kind of success and find some kind of momentum. And my hand is up. I'm there with you. I've been there, and it's a hard road, but it's also times in your life later, maybe now, when you have to go back into those moments and relive those to be able to remind yourself of the wins that you created. Because now you might be stuck. Now you might feel unnoticed again, or undervalued, or frustrated. And this is where challenge is going to shake you to your core. I cannot stress enough about the reasons why we get stuck. I get stuck. You get stuck. It's because a lack of challenge. Think about, even if it's working out, the challenges that you have or the challenges you don't have. There comes a point when You're doing those reps and they're just easy. It's not a workout. You're not sweating anymore. Well, you need a greater challenge. You need to take a step up and level up, and it's harder. And as you get older, you think, oh, it's supposed to get easier. Well, it's getting harder. But the great thing about getting older is that you also can look back at the trophies that you've won in the past, right? Those past successes that you're looking at and you're saying, I've made it, I've done it. Okay, I can do this again. What did I do then that I could do again? That's what I love in those things. And I'll give you one more quick one. This might be, I know I'm getting into stories, but man, Luke Skywalker to me, I mean, just a farm boy on Tatooine, right? He's angry, frustrated with his job. He's a farm guy. His aunt and uncle, wanted to stay on for another season. His friends are out, doing the things that they want to do, and you could tell he's just stuck. And we know the end of the story about the greatness of Luke, but at the time, Luke is just like us. He's trying to figure out what is that next thing for him, and he bumps into Obi-Wan Kenobi, who starts to sprinkle a little vision on his life. He starts to get Luke to imagine, Luke, the Republic and fighting for them. And I actually am a Jedi, Luke. And your father was actually, he was pretty involved as well. Well, all of a sudden, that little dream that he had inside of him was starting to get life. It was starting to breathe. He was starting to see that, I'm not nowhere near I want to be, but this guy Obi-Wan seems to know the right way to go. And what does that do? That starts to unlock this curiosity where he accepts a challenge from Obi-Wan to learn to become a Jedi, to learn what it is with your mind, your body, your soul, your strength, all of those things to get him to be in that place. And as you continue to watch the story of Luke, he personally challenges himself to become a Jedi. He doesn't sit back and say, I'm a Jedi. He works towards it. He seeks out counsel. He's with Obi-Wan, and then he looks for another mentor that leads him to Yoda, where he gets with, Yoda, and Yoda is giving him all of this stuff that he doesn't think he needs to be a Jedi, but it's absolutely essential for him to be a Jedi, right? Luke's frustrated of all these things that Yoda is doing because they don't seem to be like the things that he needs. But that's what it takes a lot of times, is us going inward and asking ourselves the questions. What do we really need? What is the challenge that we're avoiding in our own life? I think so much about the challenge of the distractions in our life. I was even joking with a friend the other day about a challenge that they were sort of throwing out loosely of saying, what if I took off a whole month of social media? And that was a challenge, and they were sort of looking for other people to do it with them, but it was something that they were trying to challenge themselves, but they were sort of stuck, right? So I love this by Brendon. He says, challenge is the pathway to engagement and progress in our lives. But not all challenges are created equal. Some challenges make us feel alive, engaged, connected, and fulfilled. Others simply overwhelm us. Knowing the difference as you set bigger and bolder challenges for yourself is critical to your sanity, success, and satisfaction. How many of you know that you can sometimes put challenges in front of you that will just make you go crazy? Even just this week, I had to, my daily routine is to work out. I love it. I just, endorphins are drugs for me, and I love them, and they make me feel phenomenal, and I perform better, and I love my day. But there's sometimes when I'm waking up, consistently at 5 a.m, that there's some days when I just need to sleep till 6. And I wrestle with that because it's like, oh, I'm breaking the challenge. I'm breaking the challenge of wait, just get up at 5. Why are you doing? What be consistent. And there's sometimes when I just need to my sanity. I need to just get an extra hour of sleep. Why? I got 3 babies and a beautiful bride that I want to give them my best. And there's sometimes when I just need that extra hour. So that's sometimes when your sanity, right, you need consideration for that. But why are challenges so important? Right? Why are they so important? You're built for challenges. Your mind needs to be challenged to grow and to graduate. Your body needs to be challenged to work optimally, I guess. Fitness, so that plays in part. Your relationships need challenge for growth. That's coaches and mentors. Your spirit needs to be challenged. Maybe that's a pastor or a guide. Challenges spur growth, right? To do what you may not think possible. Challenges cause you to go beyond your self-imposed beliefs and limits. Humans crave comfort, and this is also the place where you die, is in your comfort. If you were looking back at your life today and you're thinking about these challenges and you're thinking about the challenges you avoid and just looking at the ones I listed, your mind, body, your relationship, your spirit, your soul, think about that for yourself. Think about the challenge you need, maybe physically, the challenges mentally. How do you start reading more books? There was a few sessions ago where I talked about how there's a woman who would check out books at the library on purpose because she knew that she would then be forced to go get them, and then she'd be forced to read them in a specific amount of time. Right? What are challenges that you can give yourself for your mind? Maybe it's a chapter a day in a book. Maybe it's a book a week. Maybe it's relationships. It's, finding a mastermind group. Maybe it's getting into a men's group or a study or something like that. That's a challenge for you. What about for your beside relationships? What if it's for your spirit? What are you doing for yourself, in a spiritual level? There's some that read their Bible. There's some that, are meditating. What does that look like for you? What does it not look like for you? Maybe it's not happening at all, right? There's been seasons in my life where that was all put to the side. But we're here because of transformation, and you're here because of transformation. You're here to become anti-fragile in your life. You're here to become not just strong, but resistant to any type of any type of things coming against you, any type of conflicts, right? That's what these challenges are going to do for you. So what are the automatic negative thoughts? This is a big challenge that many people have. I have it many times. That happens to me, clients. We talk about this all the time. And these are automatic negative thoughts. These are thoughts that just pop in your mind, that they just pop in and you're not quite sure. They're fears, they're worries, they're concerns, that it's crazy. So what are the things that these are the different thoughts. You can take these negative thoughts and this is the process, right? This is the framework. How much money would you bet on it? So it's a negative thought. Maybe it's you're going to lose your job. How much money would you bet on that realistically? And what's the chance that it would happen? And maybe it is a high chance, but at least put it on paper, put it down. These negative thoughts, challenge yourself. Don't just take the thought and stick it away and allow worry to then just bombard your life. No, face it, challenge it so that you can get to the end of it, right? So how much money would you put on it? Then put a lid on it. What's the worst that could happen? All right, let's say you lose your job. What's the worst that could happen? Well, you don't have a job. You don't have any income. Maybe you have to move. Maybe you have to go live with somebody, right? There's a few things that come into play, right? Maybe that happens. You got to start working on a new job. All those kinds of things can happen, right? Think about what a friend or mentor would tell you. Weigh the evidence. Am I right to think that? All right, so take a step up. Take a ladder up higher, a higher view with somebody who's a little bit more advanced in years, has been through it a few more times than you. I do this all the time. I say, what would you do if you were in my position? What would that look like? And it comes, let's say it's a job thing. What would you do if you're in my position? Well, I would be doing this. I'd be working on these things. I'd be reaching out to these people. I'd be taking care of these areas. I'd be, downsizing any type of income and budgeting, accordingly, all that sort of stuff. All right, play the history game. In 5 years, how important will this matter? Okay, if we're still on the job thing, if it's not there in 5 years, does this really matter? It could matter. It could be significant. But at the same point, now you have the facts down on paper for yourself. You can say, okay, this is significant. This could interrupt something in 5 years, or this could also be a huge opportunity for myself, or if you lost a job, for you to get into something that you really want to get into. And in 5 years, doing that could change your life. What is the negative thought worth, right? So now we're looking at how much of your time is worth spending on it so that you value your time. Now, we don't get any more time. However, we just seem to throw time away as if we do get more time and we don't. I was talking with a few clients and friends about this same issue with time, and many times when we're talking about how they're solving problems, they're trading the wrong things. They're trading time for money when they should be trading money for time, and they're scouring answers on the internet, or doing these kinds of things. And I was with a client asking them about it. I was like, how much time are you spending on this issue and this problem? And they came back to me and they said, geez, hours upon hours upon, geez. I said, how much of your mental capacity? I said, geez, probably 15 or 20%. So then I said, well, what are you worth? What do you think your value of your annual life is worth? A couple 100,000. What do you think you're worth? Well, they say, wow, I never thought about it like that. I said, well, what is that worth? And they break it down and say, you're probably spending, maybe 40 grand a year of your time and energy just on this problem. Could you solve it a different way? Well, what do you think what could I do? I said, what do you think you could do? So I could maybe find a mentor or a coach or for 40,000, I could probably do it for 10,000 and have it done in, maybe 3 weeks time. What is the value of your time? All right. Another thing that I want to challenge is your limiting beliefs. This is a big one. This is a framework. These 5 things on your limiting beliefs. What is a limiting belief you hold? Right. What is that limiting belief? You're not good enough? Maybe you're not smart enough? You don't have a college degree? What's another one? People don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to give you all the ones that I go through. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. You're not important. Those sorts of things, right? And then I'd have to think about it to myself. But why am I thinking about it? I say this story a few times. You may have heard of a friend of mine. A client was telling me, we went through this same exercise. What's limiting belief? They're phenomenal musician. They had plenty of songs on the radio and charts and all that. What's limiting belief? Well, I'm just not any good. I said, well, for the sake of the story, we'll call him Jeff. I said, so Jeff, you're telling me you're not any good at music? Yeah. I said, well, why are you not any good at music? Like, why are you holding on to it? And as he started to take some time, and it was a couple weeks, he started to realize there was a lot of stuff as a child that he felt his dad had told him that he just wasn't any good at it. Why aren't you more like your brother? You're not any good at it. So then I asked him, well, what's the negative impact of holding on to this belief? And he said, well, when I hold on to this, I just don't want to create any music. I don't think I'm any good at it. I said, well, how is that helping you? I said, what's the feelings that you get when you think of this belief? He said, man, I just feel like worthless. I feel hopeless. I feel not any good. I feel not valuable, right? He's sharing me all of these feelings. And then this is the one. It's number 4. This is the one that really will hit if you're really in a limiting belief. So I said to him, what evidence do you have that supports this negative belief? And he stopped and he froze. And he literally he said, well, I'm actually pretty good. I said, well, Jeff, why don't you tell me a few of these times in your life when you've been really good? So then he goes back and he says, well, I had a song that went on Netflix. I've been on all these different radio stations. I've I've toured, I've traveled, I've sold thousands of tickets, and I said, "Wow, yeah, that sounds like a incredible artist to me." He goes, "Yeah, it does, right? It does." So I then said, "What's your positive alternatives to this? What is something that you can look at when this belief comes in to say that you're not good enough?" And he immediately said, "Well, I can go back to these alternatives of how I am good, of my successes, of like I call them these trophies, these past trophies that you look up, that you don't look to the past to look in the past, but you look at the past to just sometimes center you for where you are and then where you want to go next." But he looks at the trophies, he sees these places that he's been, he wants to go and he wants to do more, and he's getting there, which was incredible. So your limiting beliefs, this is an incredible framework that you go through. I talk about it all the time, and you can do this. This will transform your life. All right. So let me get it into the comfort zone. Right. This is where we're going to land the plane. All right. There's just a few minutes left. We're going to land this plane. I know it's a little bit longer, but I just feel like you're worth it. Feel like this is going to revolutionize your life, because it not only did it revolutionize my life, but thousands of others have done this exact same framework, and it changes their life. So I'm going to challenge your comfort zone. All right. So what are 3 things in your life that need to be challenged? I'm going to throw up these 3: TV, social media, and waking up late. I'd almost even challenge staying up late. Could be one. Staying up late, waking up late, any of these 3. So maybe you have 3 different ones. I don't know. Most people and clients I talk to, these are 3 silent killers. And when you think about these, walk into the next one, why are these not the best for you? Well, let me start with my own life. I don't need to, I can talk about a bunch of clients and things, but I'll tell you from my own experience. TV is not the best. Why? Because a lot of times the stuff that I'm watching, I mean, usually now it's just sports, but I just found the stuff that I was watching was impacting my mind and impacting even my spirit to think things and be concerned about things and be aware of things that they actually don't affect me in any way. Another reason was with little kids in the house, there's just all kinds of trash and garbage on TV, and it's like, you know what? There's enough of that anyway. Why do I need to bring more of that for them? Right? Then there's the social media piece. What is it with the social media? And as I was in my mastermind group, where we started challenging each other, iron sharpening iron. What's the challenge there on social media? Well, why are you on it? What is the point? What is the value for yourself? Is there something alternatively that I can challenge you on for those hours that you just spent on, Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever it may be? Is there something to challenge on towards your goal that you actually want, but you just allow these distractions to control you? Same thing with waking up late. Then you think, why are they not the best for you? I've gone through some of those. How important are these changes? How much time and energy will you put toward change? Right? Your change and the ability to put your time toward change is ultimately attached to the goal and your reason why. Or even a bigger one is, why are you here on earth? What do you want? Why were you created? It says that people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? What is this knowledge all of a sudden you don't have, and you're getting destroyed by it because you're allowing distractions to be inserted instead. Another one is that people perish without a vision. People perish. It says they lack discipline without a vision. So what's the vision for your life? Because if you don't have that, if it's not clear, if it's not in front of you, then you're going to be distracted and go into all sorts of ways, and you won't have the energy to do the work. It'll just be something that you have to do, right? Something you have to do. Okay. So that's a big one. Something that you have to do. That's what we're thinking about. What's another one? Let's think this through. Let's think this through. Another one is um, challenging comfort zone. We like that. And what are the first one or two steps that you need to do to begin what you're doing, right? That's a pretty good thing to think about, right? Pretty good thing to think about. I get that. Um, 1 or 2 steps and then a time frame. Sorry, there was some things in the screen here that were messing up, but 1 or 2 things to begin, right? When do you start? How do you start it? What happens there? All right. And I'll finish with these. You're a champion. You're an absolute champion. Champions are the ones who get out there and try harder the next time and harder the next time. Champion is a state of mind. They're devoted. They compete to best themselves as much, if not more, than they compete to best others. Champions are not just athletes, and that is absolutely for you. It's Simon Sinek. And I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad you took the time to hang out. I'm glad you took the time to do this work. And there's a big chunk of things to do in this. I know this is a longer session, but this is going to give you some time and space to do a lot of those things because you're transforming. You're becoming the champion you're created to be. And I believe that you're going to start to see those things that you want to see, be able to do them. And you're going to unlock not just yourself. This isn't for you. This is for so many people there that need what you have. So I'll see you on the next one.